to be here, and I'm so honoured that our organisation Volunteering Ireland has been working with all of you, and hopefully will continue to work with you throughout the year to really shine a light on all of you and all of your work, what you do, and all the good that happens in this country.
The big thing that strikes me as Minister, when I go into every town in Townland, every city and every county, in every acre of Northern Ireland, what I see is immense work being done. Very often unacknowledged, mostly unpaid, by the volunteer community in Northern Ireland. And I'm very pleased to be here today in order to acknowledge their work and also to acknowledge the work that's going on across the island of Ireland, in every part of Ireland, in terms of the volunteer community. You are writing the history of this generation of the people of Ireland. I want to acknowledge you, applaud you in this year of volunteering. I can only imagine that this key feature of our national character will go from strength to strength.
Constatasha, I think you're better than good. Aren't you? You're brilliant. Gahintach, you're brilliant, you're wonderful. I'm in the company of the best people on this whole island. Good people. People who all wanted a job for life, that's why they became volunteers, right? Great bonuses, great pensions, no P45. You will never ever be made redundant if you're a volunteer. Isn't that great? But you don't care about those things, do you? That's not why you're volunteers. And it's good to be at this really special ceremony, to gather together as many of our volunteers under this roof, and we have a packed hall today, to be able to launch this year of volunteering, a European-wide year of volunteering. I'm really very, very grateful to Lynn for inviting me to be part of this very, very, very special launch. And can I extend a particular Kate Wheeler Fáilte to our friends from Northern Ireland, headed up by Minister Alex Attwood. It's good to see that we're going to do this together. We're going to work in collaboration. That's a big, big bonus, because the friendships that will come out of that, like all friendships for volunteers, they endure, because you see people who have the character of generosity, giving and good people. And when those are bonded, those friendships last for life. Mother Teresa once said that volunteers are unpaid, not because their work is worthless, but because it is priceless. And that's such an important way to understand the work of the volunteer. We know how very harsh our world has become in these times of recession, as the flow of money through the economy and indeed through people's purses dries up. But so we know what it feels like to be in a recession. It's not the most pleasant place in the world. People carry burdens of care and awful worries. But we have no idea at all how utterly unbearable our world would become if all the volunteers decided right now, this minute, they were going to stop volunteering. Then we would have an ice age. We wouldn't just have a recession, we'd have a real psychological, emotional, civic, social ice age. And the effects of that on your individual lives would be simply catastrophic. And that is just how essential volunteers are to, how critical they are to our civic strength, to our civic well-being, to our resilience as a community, as a society. And right now, this minute, even as we are here in this very room, there are kids who are turning up to scouts or turning up to training, sports training, and the volunteers have all turned up to be there for them. We, her mums and dads, we've benefited so much from all the people who've invested in our young people, who turn up week in, week out to the youth clubs, the after-school clubs, the sports clubs, faithfully to look after them. We know there's a family at the moment sitting down to a meal, and dressed and well-dressed thanks to the St Vincent de Paul. We know that there's a homeless woman or a homeless man dropping in right this minute to Focus Point or to Simon or to Trust. And people are there for them. They're not turning up to a blank space. Someone has created a little space that is designed specially for them. There's a cancer patient somewhere who's pouring out her or his big worries to a counsellor because they're afraid to share them at home in case they frighten their children or scare their partner. Or an accident victim is getting blood in a hospital at the moment because somebody was good enough, kind enough, generous enough to be a donor. Or in a workplace somewhere. A bunch of people have got together because their workplace has encouraged them to be volunteers. And we have senior citizens that are on fun outings. We have people with literacy problems who are sitting down with one-on-one tutors. Kids are bagpacking. You know, they're off to Zambia and they're raising the funds and they're going to go to an AIDS orphanage. All over Ireland, there's just so much stuff. And we think too of all the work that was invested by volunteers in building the peace in Northern Ireland. It just couldn't have happened without that warp and weft of individuals who made the connections to each other and worked to build the peace. And time and again, I also encounter, and this will be a story familiar to most of you around these tables, I encounter voluntary groups that are now very powerful and very strong. But they started around a kitchen table, perhaps not as elegant as the ones you're sitting around, but they started around a kitchen table with a good idea and no money. How many people in this room remember those days? A lot of people remember those days. The kitchen table, no money, and then the idea. And making yourselves the people who would take that idea and run with it. Not leave it to somebody else to do, but to be the people who would do the work that would make the idea a reality. We also see in these times more people volunteering than ever. That's reassuring to us that people still believe strongly that old Irish expression, Ní neart go cur le chéile. Our strength only reveals itself when we work with others, when we give of ourselves. We reveal a passion and a power and an energy that is able to accomplish things that we simply cannot accomplish on our own. And so many volunteers understand that in a special way. I also want to thank the sponsor Intel because, of course, a lot of this work cannot be done without that great resource that is money and that is sponsorship. And I know that companies the length and breadth of Ireland, again under pressure as they are too, they are so good about encouraging corporate social responsibility and helping to fund many, many voluntary endeavours. I actually do not know of any other country that has the voluntary culture that we do. And precisely because we do, we sometimes take it for granted. Let's in this year make a pledge to ourselves we will never, ever, ever take the volunteer for granted. And hopefully we'll never pass up an opportunity to be a volunteer.